I'm sure there's nothing that gets in the way of that value, right? That signed time that you have, more or less, in a perfect space. The same thing with your morning routine. Like, we've all assigned values to eating. We've assigned values to, friendships and relationships. And I think the more that we become aware that we've already done this, it'd be so much easier to look where you can assign a new value to something wonderful.
These are your big rocks, right? Your big rocks is what we talk about. What is so important that it is a non-negotiable, it's non-debatable, and then you can fill in with those other things. But one of the things that Trina and I do very early on in the stages of the program is having people, one, face the facts, because your emotions can lie to you, but the facts don't lie. And after getting through that is setting up something we call the weekly game plan.
Welcome to the Pursuit of Wealth, where the H is surrounded by abundance. We want to welcome you with open arms, open heart, and an open mind to today's wonderful conversation with two wonderful women that we have joining us today, Trina and Tara. Trina and Tara are co-founders of PowerMom. They're educators, coaches, speakers, health and wellness enthusiasts, and all things sport lovers. They work with moms who struggle with exhaustion, motivation, and lack of time. They are obsessed with helping other moms create a life full of energy, confidence, and self-love. They believe every mom deserves the right to be a better individual, a partner, mom, friend, and leader. They use their tried and proven method, the daily practice, to help moms go from exhausted to energetic, unmotivated to confident, lacking time to creating time. And they do this through the 4 Power Mom components of building you, training you, fueling you, and extending you. Power Moms move moms to love themselves and to be the very best version. Tara played Division I soccer in Boca Raton, Florida, at Florida Atlantic University. And over the course of her 4 years, she proved her skills as a strong forward by being her team's leading scorer. And she holds a master in leadership. Trina played Division II in Boca Raton, Florida at Lynn University. Over her 3 years there, she and her team won a national championship and made 2 Final Four appearances. She received her master's in sport business. Both are nationally certified massage therapists and wellness coaches. Together, they are moms to his 7-year-old twins, and they understand the challenges mom faces every day. They live what they coach, and they love helping other moms grow to be the best versions of themselves. They also have a free Facebook group for all moms, which we'll link below. Or you can just search for the Power Mom Nation and join today. That was robust.
Indeed. And I'll tell you what, I'm only a dog mom, but I already want to know all about what you do because I need that too.
So first and foremost, which one's Trina and which one's Tara?
I am Trina. I am Tara.
And I'm Tiffany. Nice to meet you guys. So thanks for joining us today. So I have one quick.
The mom with the dark hair or the mom with the
glasses. Nice. That's awesome.
I love it.
That's a way to distinguish it. So I have a quick question for you guys. I'm sort of guessing you might have met over soccer.
Yeah.
A bit. I love it.
Well, tell us a little bit more about Power Moms. It sounds pretty awesome. It sounds like me and Julie are going to join right now. So tell us a little bit more. Give us the down and dirty.
We take dog moms too.
Okay. Yeah. They're exclusive moms, or inclusive, I should say.
I think the number one question we get asked all the time is like, how did you start this and why? And how did this all come about? And really several years ago, I was working in the corporate world. I remember it was freezing cold. I got in my car and the exhaustion of the day really followed me. And I started the car. I remember like vividly turning the headlights on, pressing the gas and just stopping and having a freaking meltdown. I slammed my hands on the steering wheel, screamed at the top of my lungs, which now I have talked to thousands of moms who can relate to this exact same feeling. Is the thought of walking in the door from my corporate job to now the job of mom was daunting. We had little baby twins at the time, they're 7. So it was just about 6 years ago. And I had put them, Trina, my work, everything else before me. and I felt unmotivated. I was tired. I had lost all my confidence, lost all my own self-love. And I was at the time really soul searching because I wasn't exactly sure what was happening. We go from athlete to, you know, pumped up all the time to the way I am right now. But it wasn't like that right after having kids, and something was just going on and I couldn't figure out what it was. And so I was doing a lot of reading. I was listening to tons of stuff, and there was one thing, and it was that you don't want to be average, because average is just like everybody else. And I kind of felt this stab in my heart, really, because here I was living an average life that I knew I didn't want to. And you probably remember me walking in the door that night.
I do.
I was like, we've got to change. We've got to do something. Like, if we're going through this, every other mom's got to be figuring, you know. So do you remember that?
I do. She walked in the door, and it's like all the emotion that she had built up as she was, you know, from that moment to driving home. She came into the door and was just like, Trina, this is how I've been feeling. And it was great because I was able to, you know, understand where she was at. And then we started to sit down and just say, okay, how do we figure this out?
Yeah, I mean, we looked for a program for moms, and you guys, there's not one out there. Like, there is not a program specifically for moms, and I couldn't believe it. And we asked each other, we were like, what if we take what we both know, learn even a hell of a lot more, which we have over the last 6 years, and create a program for moms ourselves? So we did.
And that's such a beautiful thing, because at the end of the day, you don't need 700 certificates to help other people. You just have to have the desire to do it. And that pivotal sort of breaking point that we've all experienced through various, but it's when we exist in those deep, dark moments, that if you have some bit of awareness and just a hold on yourself, you realize it's the most beautiful time to experience, because it elicits such, you know, deep change within you. And then you say, okay, here's where I'm going with this. And I think that that's such a beautiful reason to have, you know, even collectively come together and say, okay, how are we going to help other moms like ourselves? Because you're right. How many times have I had that experience? How many times, you know what I mean, have we as women? And I think that that's, you know, we say mom too, but correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes just as a woman, we tend to put ourselves second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's very common that everything else comes before us, and this notion of guilt or self-love, until you really dive into it and uncover, you know, why that's happening. You're totally right.
Yeah, we get stuck in the whole not enough, not good enough, not, you know, energetic enough, not thin enough, not whatever enough. To look after, and now in our generation too, because we're kind of in that sandwich place where we've got aging parents who need our help, as well as young kids that, you know, or teens or whatever, who are growing and need our help, and jobs and house and the responsibilities of everyday life. I don't have children, and I never have, so I can't even imagine, because I know what it's like not having children and trying to keep up with all those things. And when I travel and leave my husband alone, when I come back, he's like, thank you for the reminder of how much you actually do.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, okay, so you come home, you have this sort of dark experience, and Trina serves you a bowl of pasta or whatever okay, well, let's break this down. Let's sort of unpack that. So that's a pretty strong moment too, especially for your partner to hear, like, life isn't exactly what I thought it would be.
And let's face it, I mean, I'm working a corporate job, right?
Right.
Selling Cheetos to young kids. So read
Nice.
through the lines there. Yeah. And she's home with twins, and I come bursting in the door and not even caring, wondering, or I did care, but like how her day was, right? Like,
right. She's like, well, here's dinner. Kids are great.
Yeah, you know, I think on the flip side, it was hard for me too. You know, she'd get up in the morning and she'd leave, and I'd hear what it was like for her to be pumping in the car. She's driving to work, and then I'd hear about her, you know, stressful day. And she'd come home, and I'd be stressed out of my head because I'm trying to juggle 2 babies. And luckily at the time we had somebody that was able to help us out a little bit during that time. But, you know, on the flip side, when she came to me and was like, you know, this is where I'm at. First of all, I'm like, look, the emotions that you feel as a pregnant woman, holy cow. I have not experienced them because I have not birthed children, but watching what she went through, I was like, oh my goodness, what is, going on? And there's been a lot to juggle with that. So when she came to me, I was welcoming to it because I've always been passionate about, fitness. And then I've had my own experience with nutrition. And so I knew that we could be better, and I knew how we could be better. We just needed to figure it out for ourselves first. And then I loved the idea of reaching out and helping other people. That's how we are. That's how we both, work together is, we're always, how can we serve other people? How can we help other people? And to see what Tara was going through and experiencing, and it was affecting me too. I didn't have a lot of me time either. She was getting up out of the house by, 6:37. That didn't leave a lot of time for me. And so as we worked through that in our own lives, and then we put it together, and that has just grown and blossomed. And that's how we, worked our way through and found Power Mom. And that's where the 4 power components come through, is because when we say we live it, we truly live it. And it came through our experiences of putting everything together. So it's been great.
So what did that, just take us through some of that evolution. What did that look like at the beginning, and what does it kind of look like today?
Yeah, so I'll let you go through.
So, tactically, I'll go through that really quick, and then Trina can go through more of the emotion part of it. But, tactically, we, like she said, look, we know what to do, right? Athletes understand nutrition, everything that goes along with it, serving yourself, serving others, but kind of putting it all together has evolved, and it's taken a long time, and right to where we are today is so solid, and it's so fun. But tactically, I'm like, how we figured it out for ourselves, but how do we get this to other people? And looking at strategic programs and things online, and how to figure out how to deliver this in a package that is sustainable, not a fad, not, some crazy, cabbage soup diet for 7 days, or do a challenge, plank challenge for 7 days, or whatever it is. It's like that stuff doesn't work, and it's not sustainable, and people get caught in those traps day in and day out. And so what we've created really is a sustainable program for women, moms, to plug into, where it changes everything about their being. So it's not 5 weeks, 10 weeks, 20 weeks. It's, you make the decision now because you're ready for change, and it lasts literally for the rest of your life.
Right.
And I would say, tactically was like getting very specific, like ClickFunnels is an example. It's a software. And so I took nights, hours, plane rides, trips, anytime that I had to listen to every single training to understand how to use that software, put a ton of effort into that, to doing videos, to delivering. Now what we have is a really robust end product, but definitely, a lot of work put into that. So
yeah. And we're like you guys, we love to learn. And so there was a lot of learning, getting coaches. We've had coaches ourselves.
Yeah.
That's why we're like everybody else. We love to learn and grow, but we need that direction and that growth. And so we reached out to a lot of people that helped us get to where we're at from a tactical side. And then inside of it, the 4 power components, we actually started with 3. And the first one was building you, training you, and fueling you. And we added extending you, and it all comes together very holistically, in a really powerful way. Because building you is the first thing that moms don't do. And that is, they do not take time for themselves, right? And so these 4 power components become the daily practice. And within these areas, we talk about the power hour and how moms can really cultivate into their lives. And so building you, we determine where a mom is at within her life today. Then we help her figure out where it is she wants to go. So we build that roadmap from here you are today, and we call it your 2.0 version. And here is who it is that you want to become. And so we help them build that out specifically for them and their life, because it's different for everybody. But we want them to have that vision of, this is where I want to go. This is where I'm at, and this is where I want to go. And then fueling you, we keep nutrition really simple. This for us, for our moms, we don't want them to be counting the points and the calories. We just want the nutrition to be solid and really simple for them. So the Power Mom Nutrition Protocol, it works for every single mom on the planet because we do keep it simple. And if they want to dive deeper into what their personal needs are, we fully support that as well. And then number 3 is training you. And we teach moms how to quickly and effectively get real results without hours in the gym. Moms do not have time to go to the gym, right? I started working out from home. I was always loved to run, but here I have 2 kids. I couldn't just, oh, I'm going to leave you guys and go for a run, right? And so I started working out from home, and I've continued that because I love it and it saves time and you can still be effective with it. And the 4th power component that we added is extending you. And the best gift you can give anyone is a gift of your presence. So within extending you, we show our moms how to create deep connections with the ones they love. Because what happens naturally is as they begin to build themselves up and they start to learn about nutrition and training, all of a sudden they're giving that to their partner. They're giving it to their kids. They're giving it to their friends and their family. And they're saying, look what I'm learning. Look what I'm doing. The kids are jumping into the workouts. The kids are now eating better. They're feeling better about themselves. So now they're serving better, right? Like when we are empty inside, we don't have as much to give. And so as we feel great about ourselves, gosh, our day feels better, right? You wake up and you feel great about yourself. That just extends out to the world. So we added that as our 4th power component.
That's great. That's so great.
That really is great. And, I just wanted to, 1 second, just bring it back to sort of the beginning of that conversation. And just to kind of highlight this, only because I too have experienced it, like you, Trina, I stayed home with my daughter until she was 5. And, I'm divorced, and my partner now, even now she gets up, she goes to work, she comes home, and, she's going to school. So now she does her school stuff. And there are times where I just sit there and I'm like, why do you get to do all these things? And it's not, and she has her own struggles, and that's not to take away from it. But sometimes we look at our other partner and think they get to do the things that I don't. At the same time, she's like, well, you get to stay home with the kids, and I would love to do that. So it's this sort of ebb and flow. But what I know about being a stay-at-home mom is it is the most beautiful, wonderful experience. I would never give back a single moment of it ever. What I also know is it's an extremely lonely place. Mm-hmm. It's a very lonely place that most people don't understand or understand about it for you. And I love that you're trying to give that back to moms. And it's not something that I truly understood probably until I started really changing my life through podcasts and things like that, probably about a year and a half ago. I thought, mom, no, not Tiffany, mom. Yeah. No, that's who I am. Who are you? Well, I'm the mother to Lucy. Well, that's who I am. But it's not that. And it's so much more than that. And I doubt that I'm the only one, considering it sounds like you experienced that same thing. And not to take away from you, Tara, because I totally get what you're saying too. You've got that 9 to 5 grind, and you also have the kids at home. Like there's so many different components of this, where as a collective, it's just hard for both. Mm-hmm. Right. But hearing somebody else say, you don't have to exist like that, is so much less of a lonely place. Even for me 2 years ago. Do you know what I mean? And so I think that that's such a powerful thing that you guys are doing for other moms, because I love what you're saying. And, and you're so right. I know the moms that I most, get along with, and they're the ones that raise their kids more like-minded to mine, right? That's what we do. And through that too, we lose us. Do you know what I mean? Because we're trying to be everything for these tiny little humans. But what's happening is we're actually being less for them.
Yes. Yes.
And that was that aha moment for me, where I was like, I have to make these changes for me, because it also reflects how I'm showing up for my daughter and my partner and everything and everybody else in my life.
Yes, that is 100% what it really is about. And that's why we start with the building you, mm-hmm. because people want the nutrition. They want the exercise. Like you can Google all of that. We do not live in a world where it's hard to find out something to do. But until somebody really starts to change and believe here, right? They've lost belief in themselves. They've lost that confidence. they don't feel good about themselves. And it affects everything that they do in life. And exactly what you just said, if we can start to build here, all of a sudden you go, wow, this is a desire I have. I can dream again. Wait, I'm allowed to? Wait, that kid that sucks my energy, it's okay for me to say, hold on, wait, I'm having a moment, a mom personal moment. Like that's okay. And we give permission to moms to do that. And one of my favorite things I talk about is every morning I meditate. And there have been times my daughter likes to sleep in, but my son is an early riser. And there are times that he'll come down in the middle of my meditation. I've had to learn to balance this, but as he comes in, I have a teaching moment in that moment. And there have been times that I've taken, especially early on, I've taken my pod and I put it in his ear and I said, this is what I'm doing. Because I want him to maybe foster that in his own life if he chooses to, right? But it's grown to, okay, now you know what I'm doing. Please respect my space. Mm-hmm. So now there are times he'll come in and I can film, he'll sit right next to me and I know he's there. And I'll just maybe do this just to let him know, give me a second. But he has learned to respect that. And I think that's powerful because moving forward in life, he's going to maybe gift that to somebody else that he knows and says, hey, I'm in a relationship with you. I'm going to give you that space and that time. And so it's been really powerful to be able to be that example, exactly what you're saying.
Well, you're modeling. And I think that that's what we're losing that sight of. If we want our kids to be, for myself, I want her, to be as respectful as she can, as kind as she can, and have boundaries. Well, if I'm not showing her how to have boundaries, if I'm not modeling her that mom doesn't have any boundaries, how can I expect her to have any boundaries? And that's exactly what you're talking about there with your son. Now he has this beautiful gift of understanding what a boundary is, and he's not hurt by it. Right. Because you didn't just shut the door on him and say, I'm meditating, get out, go find a toy, go get your iPad. Hey, this is what I'm doing. If you want to experience it with me, you're more than welcome to. If not, just, I'm just going to have my space and we'll connect in a few minutes.
Yeah. And he's learned to really respect it. Now, there are times that I want to say what you just said.
Right. Naturally.
Wait, I'm supposed to be.
Of course. Right. Yeah, right. I'm meditating. Now I need more meditation.
Another 10 minutes. And I think sometimes, at least for me, that's a little bit scary, right? That word, like meditation, like people think like, oh, you're, sitting and oming and all this stuff. And so I think that looks different for everyone.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's quiet space. Sometimes it's a walk. Sometimes it's just breathing. Sometimes it's going for a run, like whatever it is for that mom. And we really help them discover and uncover what it is for you. Is it journaling? Is it 5 minutes with a cup of coffee staring, at the world without an electronic? Like, what is it that's going to really start your day with solitude and be able to have that really amazing foundation, which Trina calls me time in our program, really talking about, a 30-minute start, a 30-minute power, half hour, whatever you want to call it. And then it segues into a Power Mom hour, because we really talk about creating that time and that space for you to set the intentions for the day.
Yeah, I think, and I love that, because the complaint I hear most from, or the issue or the pain point I hear most from potential clients of mine, moms or not, is I don't have the time.
Yeah.
Well, we all have the time. We don't make the time. And sooner or later, and I've had this experience myself, where in my corporate job, I worked so many 70-hour weeks for so many years that my body made the decision for me. Uh-huh. And I ended up being signed off of work because my body just said, we're done.
Yeah.
And I was very, very ill for months. And I don't ever want that to happen to anybody else.
Yes. No, and Julie, I bet your body had told you multiple times prior to you actually listening.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And I just want to say, because I find that such, I just talked about this. I just closed out a workshop that I did that, Julie was a part of. And just two things. It's called Pursuing Conscious Mind. And that has nothing to do with it, except for what you were talking about before. What you're seeking, or what we're trying to tell people or to suggest to people or for them to experience, is spending 5 minutes inward. And that can be such a scary place. Just turn it inward for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? And you're right. Meditation can be any form. as long as it fits that sort of recipe of just turning inward, looking inward without some sort of stimuli, right? Something to take you away from you. Just turn inward. And the other thing that I was talking about on Saturday was this issue of time. And I sort of kind of illustrate it like this. We assign values of time, consciously or unconsciously. We've all assigned a value to this podcast. We're all here. We consciously assigned an hour of our day to be together right now. Well, if you look at every other aspect of your day, you've assigned a value to it. If it is to connect in the evening together without the kids, you've assigned that value. I'm sure there's nothing that gets in the way of that value, right? That signed time that you have, more or less, in a perfect space. The same thing with your morning routine. Like we've all assigned values to eating. We've assigned values to, friendships and relationships. And I think the more that we become aware that we've already done this, it can be so much easier to look where you can assign a new value to something wonderful. You know what I mean? Because we all do have the time. It's just, does it mean enough to you? And that's kind of how I say, what value does it have? And if it doesn't, well, of course you're not going to make any time. I don't drink, so I would never go to a bar. That has no value to me. I would never do that. You know what I mean? But it might have value to somebody else, and that's okay. We've all just assigned these values to some part of our day or our time.
You said earlier about bringing, the community together, and folks do a lot of similar things. But what you just said, we talk about in just a very changed detail is going like, these are your big rocks, right? Your big rocks is what we talk about. What is so important that it is a non-negotiable, it's non-debatable. And then you can fill in with those other things. But it's very interesting as we talk to people that kind of like what you are going through, Julie. Yes, you're being told subconsciously that something's going on, but you're not taking the action to do it. And, one of the things that Trina and I do very early on in the stages of the program is having people, one, face the facts, because your emotions can lie to you, but the facts don't lie. And after getting through that is setting up something we call the weekly game plan, which is exactly that. It is, what does your weekly game plan look like? And where do you plan, which scares people, schedule, which scares people, but really innately as individuals, we like structure and we need that. And it's really good for kids too. And so working with folks to say, the old adage, we all got the same amount of time in the day, but where are you assigning your value? Where are your big rocks going? And what does that look like? And starting off 1 to 3 days out, then maybe 3 to 5 days out, right? Because it's tough and it's scary and it's daunting for folks. But once they figure it out, oh my gosh, I never realized I could take 45 minutes for myself. Like, no, I just didn't even know that time existed. And it's been really, really powerful to see moms say that the me time and the created time that we've helped them structure is the most important time of their day.
Well, and you, I know, Tara, about this, having been in the corporate life for so many years. I think where a lot of women struggle, and especially working moms who, working outside the home, is there's this pressure from work. You have to keep putting in these hours. You have to keep taking on these projects. We have all this stuff that you have to get done, and it's not getting done, and you're the only person who can do it. And we forget that we actually do have power to delegate. We do actually have power to delegate up as well as down. We do have the power to say no. We do have the power to say, I can do that next week, instead of, oh, I'll get it done today, or the power to say, well, I'm working on a project for this other person. If you want to talk to them about which one, takes priority, that's fine. Just let me know, but I can't do both. It's okay to schedule time on your calendar to eat your lunch and not have to snarf your food down while you're writing memos, right?
That's an interesting point, Julie, that you just brought up, because here's the thing. How often, especially as moms, is no the first word that comes out of our mouth? It's so easy to say it to our kids, is it not? Right? Yeah. To just be like, no, you can't have whatever, X, Y, and Z. It's almost dinner time, or right? You can't have whatever, or no, maybe not today. No this, no that. So we can say that pretty freely. But when it comes to like that inner boundary, that is a very foreign word, isn't it?
Because it's not, yeah, and I think we're taught from a young age. I certainly was, that I wasn't to say no to anyone. I wasn't to ever make someone else feel uncomfortable. I was to, be the good girl who did what was asked of me. Okay.
And now we have to just keep doing it and doing it. And
Yeah.
good job. Good job.
Like you say, and I love what you talk about for foundations and the big rocks. I mean, one of the first things I work on with my clients is self-acceptance. I believe that is the cornerstone of change, because we only take care of things we love. We only take care of things we care about. And if we forget that piece, that very important piece, we cast ourselves aside as I come after everybody else. And we don't even realize we're doing it until we actually try to get to a place where we can look ourselves in the mirror and say, oh, I love you, and it's amazing how easy that is to kind of, and I can only imagine for moms as well, because then there's the added pressure that you have to be the connection for this small human, that needs you, because no one else can, right? And I'm not saying dads don't have a big part in it, and other parents don't have a big part in it, because I know that's not true. But in some families, it is. And that's a lot of pressure for moms to carry, I think. So I love, what you're doing. I mean, the program sounds amazing.
Does. I have a question for you guys. Stick with me, because it may sound a little off-putting at first, but I'm sure I know you guys have helped change many a mom's life, right?
Yes.
Have you turned any of them into selfish beings by providing them this power of their time? And I ask that sort of tongue in cheek, because I think it's important for other moms to hear that it might feel selfish, but is it? Like, you walk away, you handle moms, and you think, well, that's a selfish mom because she took time for herself.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really great question. And I think that, yes, in the beginning, folks, moms feel like, oh my gosh, like the mom guilt.
Yeah.
If I go take time for me, then I'm being selfish. And I think that there's a very, very fine line that we walk between, being selfish and taking time for thyself. And it is a very fine line. And I really love the question. Trina does a great job with helping moms say, this is the time, like she does with Tristan, right? This is the time for me, and then I can give more to you. And the more that you are able to do that, and look, are there some moms out there? I would easily say, oh my gosh, like she never spends time with her kids. She's in the gym for 6 hours a day. Like, do those people exist? Yes. The moms we're working with, they come to us with the problems that we're talking about today, with the issues that are so challenging them because they don't know which way to spin. They have no idea. And when they start to find the time to focus on themselves, then they realize, holy cow, I'm a better mom. I'm a better partner. I'm a better leader. I'm a better anything. And that's one thing that we really hang our hats on and pride ourselves on, is everybody has the right to be better, starting a minute from now.
Mm-hmm. And that's so beautiful that you said, and thank you for handling that question, because I knew you would understand. I was not calling anybody, selfish by any means, but we have that in the back of our head. But the interesting thing that I just wanted to point out too, is that moms are sort of at the helm, or even women in general, especially in most family dynamics, correct? It doesn't matter, what your family dynamic looks like. Likely the mom is at the helm of that, or the woman is at the helm of that. And so with that, we have to understand that if we are going through some change, everyone else will experience it too. And you have to make that choice of, well, what am I spreading? Like, what am I growing? What am I cultivating for everyone else around me? Sort of in this helm, right? Because any of these moms that you're helping, if they're stay-at-home moms, they're telling all their mom friends. If they're, out of the house moms, they're telling people that they work with. And we're spreading this sort of new way, this new life. And it spreads through everyone in such a beautiful way. But if you don't take those actions, it's also, I think, important to think about, well, what does that look like for the others around me too?
Yeah. So I think one of the things, as you say that, moms do come to us and say, does this mean, actually, we talk about this in one of our webinars, like your kids and your partner come to you and they're like, does this mean we can't have Friday night pizza? Because you're doing this thing. How is this going to affect us? Right. And we chuckle about it and we're like, look, no, you need to do this for you because you're choosing to do this. Eventually, you'll see changes. All of a sudden, your partner will be like, oh, I guess that salad does look good. Maybe I'll have some of that with you. And so, is there a time where you have to maybe make your own food and make a little different for your kids or your partner? Maybe, but as you do that over time, that example is going to be there, and those little eyeballs are watching everything you do, whether it be good or bad, right? And so, I think moms, there is this moment of, should I do this for myself? And then, oh my gosh, how's it going to affect my family?
Right.
Right. And so we have to turn it to the bright side of what this is going to do. It's going to show that you can change. It can show that you are able to take things on that aren't easy, but I'm going to do it anyways because I know what I'm going to get out of it is positive. And then those changes are going to start to filter. And I think it does have to do with personality and how the mom handles such a change, but it does affect everyone. And I remember that I was doing this triathlon. This was before I had kids. And there was this couple that they still compete in these triathlons and they had 2 kids. And I remember, Tiffany, thinking, how selfish are they? Like every morning on Saturday and Sunday, because I knew how much time they were spending, half the day, doing these trainings or going to the races. And I know what they're doing during the week. How selfish of them. As a culture, we're taught that that's selfish.
Mm-hmm.
I now look back on this couple, and I think, what a great example they were to their kids. Who am I?
Yeah.
Maybe this was their time of like, I'm going to go train, and you get to go spend time with grandma and grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
Now the kids are off with grandma and grandpa, cultivating that relationship. But from my perspective, oh, you're selfish. And it's been a really good thing for me to look back on and understand that as a culture, we have to change this. This isn't about being selfish. This is about fostering who we are. Then we can go give our time and be better.
It's funny that you say that because remember we had a guest on who was training for the marathon and we had asked the question about what did that look like for your son? And she said, well, on Saturday mornings, I'd have to go run for 4 hours. And she remembered having conversations and other moms would be like, you leave him for 4 hours? And she was like, my husband golfs twice on the weekends and he's gone for 4 to 6 hours. No one thinks that that's a problem. Yeah. And that's such an interesting thing. It's such a aha moment where it's like us as a society, we're like, no, you're bad. You're wrong. You go home and be with your son. Your husband, he can be gone all weekend. It's no problem. That's totally, he needs to de-stress, or do you know what I mean? But how backwards is that? That's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. My brother and I had this conversation. He's like, guys can go for hunting trips for weeks. You ask a woman to leave for a week and the husband's like, what? You're going where? Right. I'm not saying that's for all husbands. And that's why my brother and I were talking about it, but you're right. It's a very interesting cultural thing that we've learned. And so it's about changing this, simply every day and just starting with that half hour and then that hour. And then as the moms grow, it starts to filter out. And like we have one mom specifically, her life has changed. She is now, she didn't think she could do a burpee, right? A plank was scary. She's now like in the gym with a trainer, lifting weights, doing weights she never thought she could do. And guess who is watching her? Her daughter. Her daughter has now started playing hockey. Her mom now comes home and says, what are we going to make? And now they're making healthy foods. And so when you talk about, is this selfish? Maybe it looks like that from the outside at first. Man, no way. It ignites a fire that just goes throughout the family.
Well, and one of the things I love that you said earlier was that, you discovered this was a teaching moment. And I think a lot of it is the way we frame it. Because if we just go in with the assumption it's too hard, then those experiences are going to be negative for us and the people around us. But if we say, okay, what can I learn from this? What can I, how can I grow from this moment? And how can I exercise patience and self-compassion as I'm learning and growing through this, because it's not all going to be sunshine and rainbows. It's going to be, some pretty stormy weather in there, because change is hard. But being able to recognize these moments as opportunities to grow and teach and learn, I think makes a huge difference in the way people can be successful with them. And that's what really feeds out into the other people around them and their families.
In such a beautiful way too. I will tell you, on I think it was Friday or Thursday, my daughter, because I've kind of been struggling with, finding time to work out. Now, hear me. Wait a second. So I'm not even lying to you. My daughter says to me, Mama, you haven't really been working out, have you? And I said, you go to your room. And after I took her back out, I was like, you know what, honey, you're right. I'm so glad for you to have said that to me. I'm like, no, I really haven't been working out. She was like, do you want to work out on Saturday? I'm like, yes, we will work out on Saturday. She ended up being sick, but yesterday she was like, Mama, I want to make sure you have your time to work out. That's what she said to me. And so we went outside, and I have a workout tent, because we work out outside. That's what we have to do. Right. And so Mama, can I have the rower? I bring the rower out for her. She asked for the medicine ball. She didn't really do much of anything, but it's not the point. To her, it was everything. She did a little run around the square. It doesn't matter, but and I only bring that up just to serve as that reminder that they are watching, they are listening, and they do care. And I've shown my daughter this is a way of life, and she's showing me that I let it go for a bit, which is a wonderful thing. And now I say, okay, this is what we're doing,
Your little accountability partner.
Yeah.
Sure.
I know, back off.
I would love to share just very quickly an experience I had with a client who has a son who is severely disabled, and he used to fight tooth and nail about doing his physical therapy. She had such low self-esteem and low self-worth that she wouldn't even look at herself in the mirror. And after we started working, and we, worked through a lot of mindset and self-acceptance work, she was seeing the changes in her body, and she was enjoying the exercise. And of course, that alone just made her feel better. Eating better made her feel better. Her son started asking if he could work out with her. And so we would put together physical challenges, and now he loves using his hand bike, and he's doing his physical therapy, and he's helping prepare meals. And her husband, who wouldn't ever try anything that wasn't meat and potatoes, is now expanding his diet.
Yes.
Because she changed.
Yes. And this is how we change the world, right?
Exactly. And I don't think people understand how powerful that is. So, especially moms, because they feel this burden. Oh, I have to give the kids what they want or they won't eat, kind of thing. Well, no, you can be a parent and insist, broccoli isn't going to kill anybody, right?
If you throw it hard enough.
But I love what you're doing, because I love that because it really does spread. I mean, you can see it. You can see it happening, and it's such a beautiful thing.
It's a good thing we want to spread.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing. And one of the things that Tara, you can do over the red light, green lights. What is it? Red light, yellow light, green light.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's all different methods out there for sure, right? But we use red light, green light, yellow light foods.
Yeah.
Subjective in some aspects, I'm sure, but it's hard to argue that a Snickers is not red light, right? So the kids easily, now our kids specifically, and we do that in our program for moms to teach their families, like Tristan and Tegan will say, Mom, is this a red light food? And they know that that's either off limits or in very moderation, depending on, the day of the week. But it's just amazing to see how it all transcends through, to your point, families and extended families. And it's not only the nutrition, it's not only the workouts, but when the mindset changes and a mom has self-love and starts to cultivate that, that's the extending you piece then, right? You build and extend to others. And when other people in the family start to go, whoa, she's not as stressed out, not as bitey, not as reactive, not as knee jerk, not as X, Y, and Z. And it's that is probably the number one thing that we get all the time is like, yeah, I lost a little bit of weight. Hey, I'm eating better, blah, blah, blah. Those things are all surface level. But when it's the depth of something that changes forever,
Yeah.
that is where we see, it's just so exciting.
Yeah. And it's not like you can unlearn it, right? I mean,
Right.
you can go back and eat stuff and gain weight or whatever, but the other stuff, you can't unlearn that.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Once
it's
you've
truly
had it, you
amazing.
want it.
And it's amazing how many
Yeah.
people don't even know how to do that, or that it exists, or what are the first steps, right? So oftentimes we don't even really position ourselves as a coach per se. And it's more, you have everything within you, we're helping you pull it out.
Yeah.
And once you can start to do that on your own, that is when there's real change that happens, that again is sustainable and lasts forever.
Yeah. And you don't have to take some miracle product, and you don't have to go to the gym and kill yourself.
Cabbage soup diet.
Yeah. And the daily practice is where we
I
come
did
back.
it before.
Yeah.
This is the second time this has come up, and I'm just all set with this cabbage diet. Like, first of all, I don't want to be around a person who is just eating cabbage, like, period, end of statement.
We bring it back to the daily practice, Julie, because of exactly what you just said. We've had moms come in and life happens, right? You go on vacation and you're gone for a week and a half, and you get back, and all of a sudden some of those happy habits that you were doing start to fall by the wayside, and all of a sudden you're not working out. And the daily practice brings it back.
Yeah.
We had a mom that this happened to. She came back to us recently and just said, okay, I need to get back in this. Go to the daily practice. It tells you exactly what you need to be doing. You've got to do the work. I can tell you what to do, but you've got to do the work. But it's simple, because the daily practice just brings their focus right back to where it needs to be. So that's that's why we have the daily practice with the 4 core components, because it helps moms just plug right back in or just be consistent.
Sure. I have a question for you guys. So you said you started this about 6 years ago, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, I know for myself, I don't know. It seemed like 6 years ago, you were probably at the forefront of some of these sort of ideas and concepts. I mean, was that the feeling that you had? Because I know only that I've witnessed in the past maybe 3-4 years has nutrition really, sort of surfaced as, hey, we can do this, and it doesn't have to be in the gym, or, we can take it to the internet and find these different, products and whatnot. But I would like to think that yours is I don't want to say old, but probably started before, before
trendy.
Yeah. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
And it did, for sure. And I'll take 2 pieces of it, and I'll turn it over to you. So get ready. I was going to corporate work. I'm in an office all day long. Started to bring my own food and not go out to eat all the time, preparing meals for what I knew I needed throughout the day. Then I said, okay, at lunch, I'm going to go to the gym. And then someone comes into your office and you talk, and now your lunch is gone. Similar to what you were saying, earlier, Julie, was like you're scarfing food and you're trying to have a meeting. And so all that went to shit, right? And so I'm like, this isn't working. And so it was a January. It had nothing to do with the New Year's resolution, but I want to say it was like 2016 or something like that. But I was like, no, I know that there's these at-home workouts that exist, and so I'm just going to start doing them. I despise the mornings. I love my sleep. Trina gets up way earlier than I do, and I was determined, and I was like, I am going to work out and set my day, and it was just a decision I made, and from that point forward, it hasn't stopped. And so, yeah, I mean, it's definitely was a little cutting edge at the time, right? Because now working out at home is okay, and people thought, oh, you can't get results, and I was getting better results with 30-minute workouts, and now we've created our own, and we put them in the program, and the consistency, the habit, and doing it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are, right? It's just getting it done is what matters.
What were you turning over to me?
Oh, I was turning over to you then. The
Everything.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So like the building you and extending you pieces, I think, those weren't at inception. It was more fitness, working out. And I kind of always say it with that tone, because that is the Googleable stuff. And I know some people need someone to push them to do it, but it's these other things and this self-love and the extending you that really, you know, I owe all to Trina for just, I mean, one, it's her personality, but two, it's what she's been able to bring to this to say, this is what people need in order to be successful.
Yeah. And I think, Julie, you touched on this a little bit earlier, is people don't want to. It's hard. And I just had this conversation with this woman who, it was her birthday, and she's not where she wants to be. She hasn't been doing what she needs to do to get to where she wants to be. And she spent her birthday beating herself up and crying. And so I challenged her. I said, I want you to spend 4 days. Every morning, I want you to write 15, 20 minutes. What were the stories going through your head? Just get it all out there. What were you saying to yourself? What were you beating yourself up? Get it out. Because once you get it out, you can start to say, what did I learn? People don't want to get through the yucky to get to the learning, you know, right? And it's hard.
Quote that.
Yeah, the yucky to get to learning.
To the learning, I love it.
And so, you know, she has needed the support, and that's where we come in from a coaching perspective. Is I'm not telling her what to, I'm telling her, I'm encouraging her to do something that I know that can help her get to a breakout for her own self, right? But it's hard. It is, there are moments that are going to be hard, but it's worth it. Mm-hmm. It's worth it to who you want to become. And I often, for my own personal self, there have been times in my life, look, I'm as human as everybody else. I have things that I need to grow within and work through and build into. And I look at it as a cocoon, like getting out of that cocoon. If you help a butterfly, or you know, at the time, if you help the caterpillar get out of the cocoon, that butterfly will not live. It will not survive. They have to go through that process of really working hard to get out of that cocoon to become a butterfly. And so those are the moments, those are the hard work through moments that help you become a butterfly. So that's what we try to help people, moms specifically, really go through some of those processes so that they can become that butterfly. That 2.0 version is what we call it.
Yeah. I had just posted something on my Facebook, and it simply stated, we are the sum of our choices. And what are you choosing today? And you could read that and think of that as a negative, or you can read that and think of that as a positive. But no matter what, we are the sum of our choices. Every choice that we've made, if you think that you're unfit, well, it's a choice that you've made, consciously or unconsciously. It's still a choice. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, it can be maybe perceived as a negative experience, but I don't intend it to be, because we can make choices now. If you're seeing it as a negative, now you have 1 foot in front to make more positive choices. And it sounds like exactly what you were saying, Trina. We're just going to make one choice today. We're going to make one positive choice, and that will transcend, because we are the sum of our choices. No matter what, we are.
And we are worthy of having those amazing things. And I just really love what you're doing. So what can people do to get involved in your Power Mom program?
Of course, our dogs are barking, and
I was just going to say, leave.
Dogs are barking. Someone's at the door. So we have our Power Mom Nation Facebook group that we would love moms to join. That you can find on Facebook, and I know you guys are going to post the link below as well. And then for moms to come into our program, guys, it's not cookie cutter at all, right? So every single person we want to make sure is a good fit, that they're in the right space at the time to be able to do this, to be able to face those facts, to take the time in the beginning to go through the weekly game plan, to plug into the daily practice. And so we do a coaching call with those moms in the beginning, a free call to see, hey, is this a good fit for you? So I can give you all that link as well. And on the phone, make sure that, again, it's a good fit and something that they're really ready to plug into. That's
great. That's really great. Yeah, we'll post all of that information in the show notes for sure.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Definitely. And I have so our other co-hosts usually ask this question, but I'm going to ask it. Now, the caveat is you cannot answer together. You hear the rules. You cannot answer together. Okay. He asks, what are your 3 ingredients for a successful, abundant life? Yeah, don't look. 3 ingredients. Trina, you go first.
Thanks. For a successful life.
Or just your 3 ingredients for, just share your 3 ingredients for life.
Okay, because I tell this to Tegan every single night, and I
Okay.
tell her that she has 3 jobs, and it's to love, to learn, and to be happy.
Beautiful. Now, Trina, you have to change yours.
Give yourself self-love in some way every single day. Feed your body and your mind with positive foods, and I guess that's thoughts or learnings. And the third one is stay grateful. Stay in a place of gratitude every single day, and your life will flourish in so many wonderful ways.
I love it.
You passed the test.
What's that?
I said,
yes, you passed the test. You
know
did.
What's really cool to your listeners, and I mean this lets them know that none of this is scripted and this is all real.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I know.
It's so cool. It's really great. So I hope
the first time he asked that question, I was like, that is our question. Like, this is our question that we ask on our podcast. And so every time we're like wrapping up, I'm like, Johnny, ask your question. Ask your question. Because it gets you too. It gets you to kind of think about that. And for anyone listening, I'm hoping that they're pausing to think about what their 3 ingredients are. And if it's not the ingredients that you want to, spread or give out, then again, you are the sum of your choices. So you have that power. And I love your title. We keep saying power, and every time I'm like, this is why Power Moms is so great, because you're simply giving back power, giving back control that you probably didn't even experience or ever knew that you could have. We come into this mom life and everything else dissipates, or it may seem that way, but you're saying it doesn't have to. And you're saying, join you and experience it. Experience you again.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being with us today and for sharing all of this. And I'm really excited to see how things progress with Power Moms, and hopefully we can find some listeners who really, really need your help, and they can find you and become Power Moms too.